All right, welcome into the Tech Territory podcast presented by Fifth Quarter Virginia Tech. We're excited to come to you on Thursday, January 9th, about 4 o'clock. First off, I want to start. Got this sweet hat from University Traditions. Let me, I'm going to hit you with the URL. It's www.universitytraditions.biz. That's B-I-Z. Got some great hats. This one here is Virginia Tech. It's got the maroon hat with a white patch and the state of Virginia in maroon with some orange outline. They have another wonderful little hat. It's a white hat with a rope. It's one of the rope hats with the orange patch and the maroon Virginia in it. So just a great little lineup of Blacksburg stuff. And they have different cities all over the country. They just had a good deal for Christmas. I think hats were like $10, but I don't know if they're doing that anymore. But yeah, go check them out. So we are just a few days off of Virginia Tech's Belk Bowl appearance. They got beat 24-10. Josh, what did you think about that?
Um, there's not really much to take away. I mean, it's a bowls now or like a spring football preview. The offensive line was putrid. That's not going to be the offensive line for next year, so there's really no takeaway there. I think the only one that can return that will possibly started are maybe one of the tackles, and I really hope nobody else. So I don't think there's much to take away from there. Keelan Adams looked fantastic in the small amount of time that we saw him with the ball in his hands. He had a big run, I think 30, 40 yards. Another takeaway I had was Emmett Laws looked really good. He had a bunch of run stuffs after 1-2 yard gain that just showed up his tackles in the box score. But he looked really good. He's somebody that was really, really high on coming out of DeMatha in the class of 24. Dante Lovett looked good. A lot of the young guys looked really good, and I'm already, like, season just ended. I'm excited for next year.
Yeah, Aiden Green, he had a good day. He looked like he could be a true number one receiver. I mean, at this point, hopefully not. With the transfer portal coming into full swing, but looks like if he needs to be, I mean, he had 6 catches for 115 yards and looked good. Let's show some good athleticism, some good twitchiness, some good hands. So yeah, he could be a number one. I was decently happy with the defense, only giving up 24 points.
Absolutely, yeah.
With if with the starting offense, I think that's a game Tech wins pretty easily. Even with that defense missing however many 5 to 7 starters that they were, that defense played very well. A bunch of young guys, like you said, Emmett Laws definitely showed out. Yeah, it was a little bit of a boring game. We didn't really have much going on. There was a little bit of hope early on with the muffed punt, and then I think Tech took a 7-0 lead later on. So like the defense got a few stops early on. But then I think Minnesota only had like 5 or 7 starters out. Tech had like 14 or 15. So I mean, Minnesota was a better team anyways. Even with if both teams are coming in full strength, Minnesota's the better team. They won 7 games in a tougher conference. So for them to even hang around and lose by 14 with twice the amount of starters out, I wasn't upset by it.
Yeah, I mean, we had the ball in the red zone with 7 minutes to go. We ended up stalling out the drive. I think we did that twice, actually.
I remember
drives
that
in the
happened
red zone in the fourth
yeah,
quarter
happened
to
a few
make it a
times.
1-score game.
Yeah.
But yeah, the team overall looked better than I expected. I kind of expected a similar margin of victory there for Minnesota, but I saw there were really no takeaways other than Aiden Green and Keelan Adams for the offense. Just because of how bad that offensive line was. The defense, though, I mean, there's a bunch of takeaways there. Like I said, especially on that interior defensive line with Emmett Laws. and Kelvin Gilliam. Kelvin Gilliam had like a 4 or 5 play stretch where he just like fucking bullied the Minnesota center. I think that was in the second quarter. Like just like a quick club move and just pushed him out of the way. And that was a starter, if I'm not mistaken. Like their year-long starter. I'm really, really excited, especially with some of the transfer portal additions that we're going to have on this defense, which I think is a good segue to start talking about them.
Yeah, I got one more thing. The offense. And Pop looked okay. I do think that we would have been better off with Colin Schlee in the game for the whole game, but that wasn't the point of it.
Absolutely.
We maybe could have lost 24-20, or maybe eked out a little win with Colin Schlee, but he's done. That's his last game, and they were looking forward to next year, and I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad Pop got the snaps that he did. That's really good experience against a decent Big Ten team in prime time. Really hoping that we get this out of conference losing streak off our backs pretty quickly next year.
Yeah, and another thing is with Pop starting, even behind that really bad offensive line, I've thought about this a little bit, but every year, even the good teams, which we might be in 2 years when Pop is starting, will have a bad game where they just cannot protect their quarterback. I think it might be good to get Pop Watson out of that offensive line that just beat the shit out of him. Get some of the experience on how to compose himself and make quicker decisions. That's his second, but basically his third start of his career, and I think that once you go after, Drones will end up starting next year, but once you get past that, you're looking at a guy who we've seen a solid amount of. Like, we know what Pop Watson is and can be through 3 games, and he'll probably start a game next year at some point. It's very rarely the same quarterback will start all 12 games that you play. So, yeah, I'm really excited for Pop Watson's future too.
Yep. And here's your transfer portal segue. The offensive line was a glaring issue in the I guess it would be more coaching change. The offensive line was a glaring issue in the bowl game, and I believe since the last time we recorded, Virginia Tech has made 2 pretty significant coaching changes.
3.
Ron Crook. Yeah, that's right. Ron Crook, the offensive line coach, Chris Marv, the defensive coordinator, and Dwight Galt, the strength and conditioning coach, have all been relieved of their duties. And then, since then, Matt Moore has been hired as the offensive line coach. There's a lot of smoke around there's actually a shocking lack of smoke around the defensive coordinator job. And then strength and conditioning, that's not a huge deal who gets that. It's a big deal within the program, but it's not like a multi-million-dollar hire like the defensive coordinator or the offensive line coach. So there's not going to be much smoke around that.
The 2 names that have gotten smoke are Anthony Poindexter
for defensive coordinator,
Penn State. What did I say?
No, I was just talking about strength and conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure we're saying.
Defensive coordinator is Anthony Poindexter, the co-defensive coordinator at Penn State, and Nick Sorensen. I don't know if he was technically fired, but they parted ways.
What I read was that he's
49ers.
demoted. He's demoted.
Okay.
They want to keep him on staff in some way, but he will not be the defensive coordinator next year.
Darryl Tapp will be the defensive coordinator at San Francisco next year. Book it. But it's Poindexter and Sorensen are the 2 names I've heard the most of, and that would make sense, especially Poindexter. You're not going to, especially for Brent Pryde. He was just a coach at Penn State 4 years ago. He's not going to screw over his old school and one of his best friends in James Franklin and take their defensive coordinator in the middle of a playoff run.
So I had a tweet back a few weeks ago, and the tweet just said every day that we go without an announcement for the defensive coordinator is more and more likely that it's Anthony Poindexter.
Yeah.
Because at this point, now that every other bowl game has been over for a week or more, the only reason that we wouldn't have somebody hired by now would be that they're still coaching. And Anthony Poindexter is who makes sense for that. There's been a few message board posters talk about Tom Allen. He didn't have a very good tenure at Indiana, and I don't think he has the history with Coach Pry, or I don't think he would have the recruiting chops that Anthony Poindexter would have in the state of Virginia. So of the two, Tom Allen, of course, is the better coach, has the better career of the two. But I think for Virginia Tech and for fit, I think Anthony Poindexter he'd be a great hire.
Yeah, and really quick, I want to take a look at like what Pry's done real quick, and I don't want to bash, especially on Chris Marv. Ron Crook's a terrorist. I don't want to bash on Chris Marv. I'm a big fan of him. I think that he will be a successful coach down the line. I think that he just did not get to the right spot to start his career as a defensive coordinator. But we go fire Ron Crook, and we bring in a already established good offensive line coach, but a very, very good offensive line recruiter compared to Crook, who is not. And then we are going from Marv, who, like I said, I'm not trying to bash on Marv. He was not a very good recruiter. Decent coach, not a great recruiter. If we bring in Poindexter, who is one of the best recruiters in the state of Virginia, probably the second best to Fontel Mines, we have like a substantial leg up from where we were just last summer recruiting, which I think we did a very good job with this class that we just brought in. And be able to get better recruiters, I think it just raising the floor of the program.
And for the folks that don't know, like the defensive coordinator, the safeties coach, the linebackers coach, yes, they're going to specialize in recruiting, linebackers, safeties, whatever their position is, but they also have a regional focus. So Fontel Mines very well could bring in a safety recruit. Very well could bring in a defensive line recruit.
I believe he was like the lead recruiter on Jamari DeLoach,
which is a defensive back, I believe, a corner.
Defensive back. Yeah, he's brought in plenty of defensive players.
So like Anthony Poindexter, he wouldn't just elevate the defensive recruiting, which he would. He definitely would. I have seen that typically the offensive or defensive coordinator aren't typically listed as the primary or second. They might be secondary more often. But just having him on staff to be on phone calls with these recruits, and he may end up being the primary for a lot of these guys. But yeah, just having somebody like that on staff that can connect with these guys, that's from the area, that went to UVA, can recruit against UVA pretty well. It would just be for a recruiting standpoint, it would be a home run of a hire.
Yeah, it would also be a massive middle finger to UVA, who really, really wanted him as their head coach 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now.
He more than Fontel, which I've learned from some arguments on Twitter, which I love getting into. Poindexter more than Fontel Mines is like a UVA legend. Like Fontel Mines was just like kind of another player for him. He didn't really do anything too great. Poindexter is one of their all-time greats.
Yeah.
So, and it is. I am really hoping I could pull it up, but I might try to pull it up. I tweeted that about Poindexter, and some UVA fans said that he would never come to Virginia Tech. He is such a UVA guy. So, like, man, I am just hoping so bad that he gets it so I can retweet that.
I need to go find that tweet.
I'm looking for it. I have mine, but... and then while I'm looking for this, there is another name that was just thrown out last night, but it doesn't have any legs. But the Tim Banks from Tennessee has some connections to the job. He was his I think his contract at Tennessee is up at the end of the month. Clemson, and there's another one looking for a defensive coordinator that he's turned down. And he was co-defensive coordinators with Brent Pry for 4 years at Penn State. He runs the 4.25 that Virginia Tech has unofficially ran for the last 30-odd years. So there's just all that to say that's probably not going to happen. That is beyond the realm of possibility. That would be beyond a home run hire to get that guy. But I just throw that out there just in case.
Like, I'd be shocked if the phone call hasn't been made, but I'd also be shocked if there's been a second phone call made.
That's kind of what the folks were saying on the message boards, is that is almost definitely a call that was made, but not one that probably went anywhere.
Yeah, but to actually get into the portal, the Hokies have brought in 16 as of now. I have not checked my phone in about 20 minutes, and you know how the portal can be. We could have 3 commits by now. You'll know tomorrow. The first 2 were safety Sherrod Koval and running back Terrion Stewart. Koval is one of now 5 safeties that the Hokies have brought in through the portal. The other 4 being Christian Ellis from New Mexico State, Isaiah Cash from Sam Houston State, Joseph Reddish from, was it Wingate, a Division II? That's brother of Quentin Reddish, and Tyson Flowers from Rice.
Is that the whole list there?
That's the whole list of safeties.
Got it.
As of now, I can't imagine that we bring in another one. I thought 4 was going to be the end of that. And Joseph Reddish isn't definitely a safety. He's listed as a DB. And I would imagine he realistically will be a DB. But
and then what are Koval? Well, according to On3, Koval is rated 87 and Flowers and Cash are 89 both. So according to them, Flowers and Cash are the headliners, but they're both Texas guys, with Sherrod Koval being a Virginia guy that Virginia Tech was high on coming out of the portal. He's probably the one I'm most excited about, and he was a decently ranked, probably top 200 guy.
Yeah, no doubt. And given that he's going to be coming in January, he's going to go through spring, and given we've brought in so many safeties, I can't imagine that we plan on using all of these guys as safeties. Yeah, I was wrong. I just looked again. Joseph Reddish is a cornerback, so I'm going to list him there on our shared document. But I have to imagine one of these guys is going to be moved down to be a star with Caleb Spencer, because we don't know who the backup star is right now. There was not one listed on the 2 Deep, I don't believe, that was posted by by a lot of tech media before the bowl game. If it might have been Josh Hand, actually, who's not a scholarship player. And honestly, if I had to guess who it would be, I would probably go Tyson Flowers. He's got the most weight on him, and he's actually, I think, the shortest one, too. He's 5'11", 210 is what he's listed on 247. If he can get 15 more pounds on, that's, like, he's going to be a Keontae Jenkins size. So
247 has 3 of the safeties all rated at 6 foot 180, and then Koval's 5'11", 185.
Jeez. Yeah,
that's a typo or not.
247's, yeah, it might be. 247's transfer portal rankings are not the best.
No, they stink.
They're really, really bad. I mean,
I tweeted about that too. It's all about who you commit to.
yeah, like I mean, you look at uh, is it Tomas Rimac? Is that how you say it?
I
Rimac.
guess I don't. He's by far the worst one.
That is a all Big. Was it second team? Was it all Big 12 second team? Or
Honorable
was he all
mention.
Big 12 first? Oh, was he? He was only an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Okay, still an all Big 12 honorable mention got listed below two transfers from the same team who did not play. Um, Now they're not because they're bad. They were freshmen, both of them, Lucas Austin and Kyle Altuner or Altner. I don't know how
One
to
of them
say
was
his name
hurt.
either.
I
One
think
of
I
them was,
think
I think Austin was hurt. But Remack is listed as an 86 after being an All Big 12 honorable mention. If he committed to Ohio State, he'd be a 92.
Oh yeah. On
It's
on 3, he's a 91, a 4-star.
yeah, that's a
Um,
that's a more realistic rating as to where he should be.
yeah, he's gonna come in and I think he started something like 20 or 30 games and hasn't allowed a sack. West Virginia has been a run heavy offense, so that doesn't really tell the whole story, but they do throw the ball. He's been a very good offensive lineman for them, and yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous that he's rated as an 86, like a low 3-star, and then yeah,
Yeah,
on 3 has him at a 91.
yeah, and at 6'6", 318, I have heard whispers that he's going to likely move over to tackle for this team. Which I don't hate. I do really like the younger guards on this team, Brody Meadows, Laith Ganem, among others. I like that they'll get an opportunity to show what they can do in spring ball before the portal moves or before the scholarship limit moves from 85 to 105 in July, where there will be probably 3 or 4 more offensive linemen added in that portal window, if I had to guess. But
Yep.
yeah, Rymack. What I've heard, Rymac's going to be might give it a go at tackle, and he's got the size to do it.
Let's move up one level on the defense linebackers. We have Jordan Bass, which he's another. He was a big time Virginia recruit that went out of state, that went to Pitt, and then has now come back home. I think he's one that's been kind of in and out of the lineup with injury, and he's fairly young. He's class of 23, so he should have at least 2 years of eligibility left.
He's got 2.
Yep.
Which shows, as a freshman, he did play enough to not redshirt.
Yep.
As well as this past year, even though he was battling injury, they wanted him on the field enough to not be willing to redshirt him.
He's one that when he entered the portal, it was like, if we could get him, that'd be sick. And then we did get him. Same kind of same thing with Sherrod Koval. It was like, if only. I believe those two guys were 3 and 4, and one on one
that
site.
That was Cameron Seldon.
That's right. That's another one.
3 and 4 with Cam Seldon in the 23. I think
class...
Sherrod Koval was like 6 or 7. It was class of 23.
Got it. Yeah. No, Sherrod Koval's 22.
Sherrod Koval was 22?
And Cam Seldon's 23. So it was Bass and Seldon. That would have been 3 and 4.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say I know that they were 3 and 4 together because I saw that screenshot just the other day.
9-3, 9
by 247 to geez, I'm looking at it right now. By 247, Seldon was number 1. By the composite, they were 3 and 4.
Yep. So linebackers, we got Jordan Bass, and he's the only true linebacker that's committed so far. And then from Eastern Michigan, which everybody kept saying EMU, and I live in Stanton now, and there's an Eastern Mennonite University in Harrisonburg. And I was like, I don't know if we want any of those guys. But it is, in fact, Eastern Michigan, who I believe is a MAC school, so they are FBS. James, we got a bunch of tough names to pronounce. James John Cam.
I don't even
know.
try.
Who apparently is a freak.
Yeah, oh, freak athlete, incredible athlete, fantastic pass rush grades. I think like in the 90s of pass
Yeah.
rush grades, he was kind of a 3-4 hybrid stand up, like hand in the dirt linebacker at Eastern Michigan. Just because I mean they don't have athletes like that. That's something that he can do. On his graphic, it said that he was a defensive end, the one that he posted that was made by the Virginia Tech graphics team. Um, said he was a defensive end, and I can't imagine that we're going to want him as in coverage often. I mean, we put APR in coverage every now and then, but it'll probably be similar to that because regardless, we do have some really good linebackers on this team, regardless of how well they've played. Caleb Woodson is a dog. Caleb Spencer is a dog. And, I mean, now Jordan Bass is a dog. You
Are
also have
you
Jaden Keller, who's not bad.
are you hearing anything about? I think Kelly Lawson maybe returning.
I saw that he decommitted from UCF, and I don't know if he'll be returning. I'd really, really like it. I mean, he's not or likely won't start because we have
But he's
Caleb
been in the
Woodson,
system for
unless
3 years. Like,
yeah, unless he moves over to the Star, which I think they should have done last year. Then he's to put him in more space. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love to have Kelly Lawson back. He's a very, very good athlete, and having him and the Eastern Michigan linebacker transfer or DN transfer, I'm not going to say his name.
I mean,
I
he's
don't want my furniture to start floating.
huh. Kelly's
Um,
6'6", 220, and he's been, gosh, he was I don't see which class he was, but it says junior, and it
I think
has
21.
So he looks like 21. He had a tackle. 22. He had
Actually,
23.
he might have been.
23. He had 80, and 24. He had 40. So I don't know
He
how he's got any
might have
eligibility
been
left.
class of. He has 1 year.
That's right. That's right. So he would have redshirted in 21.
I guess
Played 22, 23.
because
Yeah.
he played substantially in that first Brent Pry year. I mean, he had a pick six against Georgia Tech, if I'm not mistaken. On that 3-8 team. Good lord. I don't know if we mentioned the other corner, not Joseph Reddish, was Isaiah Brown Murray from ECU. Very, very good pickup. He's probably going to fight Dante Lovett for that first spot. I would assume he's going to get the second spot in that cornerback room, which is loaded with young talent. I mean, you have Dante Lovett and Braylon Johnson and Thomas Williams, among other names. I'm very, very excited about, even though we've lost Dorian Strong and Bonso Dwayne, I'm very excited about what this cornerback room could have in store in this next season. But now moving up. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Delane left at the right time.
100%.
He had a few bad games this year, and I think the Virginia Tech fan base was kind of cooling on him. And with Fahim with his brother Fahim going to Ohio State, hopefully Mansour got a pretty good bag going to LSU because, yeah, I mean he would have been a clear number one starter for sure next year. But,
oh yeah, he got good money from LSU. I know those. I know a couple of those LSU diners. I know exactly the number he got. He got good money.
Yeah. So he.
But
he got exposed a couple times last year, or I guess this season. So yeah,
he was a
be
victim of maybe the best catch I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
With what was it? Was it Elijah Metcalf that made that catch for Marshall?
Yep. I remember the Marshall game, and then the Vanderbilt game. He was just out of position.
Yeah, he played very, very good in the Marshall game. He just got victimized by that one catch. He was very good. I think he had like 4 pass breakups and an interception.
Yeah.
That Vandy game, yeah, he was terrible, and he had a very bad game against Duke as well. He left at the right time. I hope that he's able to find his footing better at LSU and a different system, I believe.
Yeah. So what do you know about the running back, Terrion Stewart?
He's a lot like Khalil Herbert, aside from that 5th gear that Herbert had, the getaway speed. Terrion Stewart does not have that. He's an incredibly talented bowling ball running back that will, get you know, 5, 6, 7 yards pretty easily. But once you get him into open space, he's not going to have the kind of breakaway speed that Bashal Tootin and Khalil Herbert have had over the last couple of years. But he will find his way into space like that. Marcellus Hawkins is the other running back we have. I don't know much about him, unfortunately. I know that the staff really does like him, but I don't know much about him.
And then, so I guess everybody kind of assumed that we were done in the transfer portal with running back with Jeremiah Coney, Tyler Mason, and the 2 commits. Typically 4 is in a pretty good shape for next year.
We also have Jeff Overton.
Oh, that's right. Yep, a freshman coming in. But then Montana State running back Scott Ree Humphrey just entered the portal, and Virginia Tech offered almost immediately when he entered the portal. So
yeah,
I think that's just kind of a shooting for the stars type of thing.
Yeah, it's a guy with 2 years of eligibility, and this, like, I mean, I watched a couple Montana State games because I'm a football fan. I watched some of those FCS playoff games. He is a really, really good football player. I think he had like 1,300 yards. Let me pull him up really quick. He averaged 7 yards a carry. I know it's in the FCS at the FCS level, but let me pull up Bashal Tootin, who I believe averaged like 6 when in his FCS years. Yeah, 5.8 his freshman year and 6.6 his sophomore year. Kid's a monster. If we can get him, I'm sure that, we can find room for him in this running back room. I don't think the staff would have a problem. Like, we can get that kid. I don't think the staff would have a problem kicking it, telling a Jeremiah Coney to enter the transfer portal. But I think that's really just a shooting for the stars. Like, we'll make a couple phone calls and see where we stand. But beyond that, I don't think we're going to put all that much effort into trying to get that guy in maroon and orange.
Yep, and then Cam Seldon, he's listed. He was recruited as a running back, but at 6'2", 215, I believe he's going to be used more as a wide receiver and maybe a little bit as a running back too. But he's going to be a wide receiver. From what I understand, just another freak of an athlete that is ridiculously fast and 6'2", 215. He's going to be used as just an athlete, and I hope it's like a more of a regular wide receiver type of an athlete than like one of those gadget plays type athletes. I've never really seen those work out too well, like a Keaton Thompson at UVA or we had a Texas A&M quarterback transfer in a year or two ago.
Connor Blumrick.
Yeah, and we used him
Mr.
as Blumvic.
Yeah,
and he just never really did anything, but everybody said he's such a freak of an athlete. So I'm hoping that Cam Seldon gets a little bit more run than those guys did. But we'll see.
I think he will. I mean, you look at was it Keaton Thompson at UVA?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and Connor Blumrick. Those were quarterbacks at one point. Seldon is maybe going to be used as a gadget type of player like Deebo Samuel is. Like, you'll see him line up. You'll see him line up in the backfield a couple of times and catch passes out of the backfield. But I mean, you'll see him get some carries, but he's going to line up at wide receiver most of the time. And at 6'2", 215, he runs a really good 40. I think like a 4.4, maybe a little lower. Incredible athlete. I mean, it doesn't hurt to go get a guy like that.
Yeah, especially if he wants to be here. Okay, got it. So yeah, that's mostly the transfer portal. I think, did we talk about defensive line at all?
I don't think we talked about these two, Nash and Priester. I think it's Arias Nash, transfer from Mercer. He was a FCS All-American at Mercer, 6'1", 275, a Aaron Donald style of build. I'm not making the comparison, but that's, that defensive tackle build, low 6 foot, high 5s, and, ranging the 270, 280 range. He had 8 sacks last year.
Yeah, I saw you 9
okay,
somewhere.
I'm seeing Okay, I'm seeing 8. Yeah, I did see someone tweeted 9 and someone tweeted. I have a screenshot on my
Yeah.
phone. Like, I think both, like, 2 people at Tech Sideline tweeted. One tweeted 8, one tweeted 9. It was right next to each other.
As a defensive tackle, 8 or 9 sacks at any level of football
Is
is a hell of a
unbelievable.
good number. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean this of anything that J.C. Price does well, he develops talent and he coaches his linemen to keep quarterbacks in the pocket. And when you have a defensive tackle that's going to just, push that offensive line back into the pocket and flush that quarterback out, that not only is going to, just get him a sack, that's going to, push him into a defensive end. That's the difference between Antoine Powell-Ryland having, I think it was 9.5 last year and 16.5 this year, was Aeneas Peebles being up the middle. Just an absolutely elite interior pass rusher. And the other one that we got was Jazari Priester, 6'6", 6'7", 300-ish pounds, huge human. He went to Hampton out of high school. He has, I think, 3 years of eligibility left.
It's a project, yeah.
Yeah, he's a project guy. I would not be surprised if Matt Moore met him and started foaming at the mouth.
So the 247 guys today, they just met with him. Colby Crawford did a interview with him, and there's been some guys on the message board saying offensive line, and they're doubling down saying no, he's going to play defense. He wants to play defense.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what they're saying.
So,
it's true or not.
I didn't see that. I still, regardless of that, wouldn't be shocked if Matt Moore really is going to try his damnedest to get him lined up on offensive tackle for a year or two before starting him.
And he looks the part. He's a slim 300 too.
He's a very skinny 300. If he gets up to like 3, he will not play this year. We're pretty good on the defensive tackle front. We have Nash, Gilliam, Copeland's coming back, and then you have Laws, Johnson, and Hanchuk, 3 players who redshirted, who I am very high on all of them. So I don't think Freitzer will play this year but come next year, you might be seeing someone who's at that point 6'6", 320 pounds. That's a human that maybe doesn't make a huge impact, but he's going to require 2 blocks on the defensive line, which makes its own impact. So, I don't think that any of these additions on the in the transfer portal should be overlooked. They all have their own. They'll all have their own effect. I do quickly want to talk, as we were talking about running backs, I do quickly want to jump back there and talk about Jeff Overton, the offensive, or the was it Virginia Gatorade Player of the Year this year? And I don't know if you are in any group chats with him, but Chris Lester, the father of Keelan Adams, is in a bunch of group chats in Hokie Twitter, and he has said multiple times, like, this is the kid that this is the only guy that kept my kids from winning Gatorade Player of the Year in Virginia. Jeff Overton is a really good athlete. I do my own personal rankings of like the guys that we get. I really think that he might be 5-star worthy, Overton, and I don't just say that. I haven't said that in a long time about a Tech commit. I think Jeff Overton is a top 50 player in the country. He might make an immediate impact. I would not be surprised if he's RB2 or even RB1 next fall.
Yeah, as a high school senior, he's 5'10", 190, so you figure he's going to come in at 5'10", 200, 205 starting next fall. That looks like a starting running back in college already.
Yeah,
these guys are coming in at 160,
athlete.
170. This guy coming in at, especially at that height, that guy coming in at 190 already.
And he's a bowling ball too. I don't know if you've seen any of his film. I was up in the area when he played. I don't remember who he was playing, but I was up in the area for seeing family, and I was really close to his high school, so I decided to see if they're playing at home that night, and they were. So I went and saw him, and the kid's just a fucking bowling ball. Like, he bounces off tackles, and I mean, I know he's playing high schoolers that weigh, 150, 160, 170, but he still just runs through people. It is incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited about our entire recruiting class coming in this year. I think up and down that board, they all, even the low ranked ones. Let me see if I can. On 3, I've started using on 3, and they're how they list the guys are a little confusing. So yeah, I mean our recruiting class coming in, who I guess since signing day, this is relevant. We have Peterkin, who is not across the board. ESPN doesn't have him as a 4-star, but very good
He's
wide
a composite
receiver.
4-star.
Yep, a very good wide receiver from North Carolina. Then we have Jamari DeLoach, a cornerback from Chesapeake. Christian Evans, a defensive lineman from Virginia. He is a Rivals 4-star. Jeff Overton, running back from Woodbridge. He's a 4-star on 247. Sheldon Robinson, he's a Woodbury guy, which that's a big deal for Virginia Tech. That's been a non-starter for a long time.
Yeah.
It's actually right where I'm from. I'm a member of the golf course. Was a member of the golf course there before I moved to Stanton. Very good safety. I remember riding around with some of the Woodbury employees playing golf, and I would say Woodbury, they're not very good at football here recently, are they? And they were like, well, we haven't been for the last few years, but there's some young guys that are really good, and Sheldon was one of those guys they were talking about. Micah Matthews is a criminally underrated guy.
I do not even know if he will. Yeah, yes, he's criminally underrated. He's another guy I have in the top 200. I do not know if he will ever play football because he is a fantastic baseball player too. I believe he was a top 100 high school recruit. He would have gotten drafted if he did not expressly say that he is not signing.
Yep. So he's a wide receiver / baseball player from Bridgewater, actually like 30 minutes north of where I am right now. But yeah, he on ESPN has him 182 in the country, and that's probably about right. Everywhere, I mean, that's 5th in the state. On 3 has him at 12th in the state. 247 has him at 14th, and Rivals has him at 27th. That guy, he's a very good football player. He should be a lot higher than that.
Who has him at 27th?
Rivals. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then Brett Clatterball, a linebacker from Culpeper, which is actually about 30 minutes from where I grew up. He's a 4-star on ESPN, number 10 in the state. He's another one. I mean, he's another one that commits to Virginia Tech and drops in the rankings because he committed to Virginia Tech. He was a across the board 4-star for a while. AJ Brand, another one, same thing. I believe he was a 4-star at one point. He's a quarterback, very good quarterback. He's a South Carolina guy, and then now these are the guys that weren't any type of 4-star at any time. I don't think Jaden Anderson, wide receiver from Virginia Beach. Oh, Sherrod Henderson. I think they were pretty excited to get him.
I do like him. I don't think he's quite a 4-star, but I think, like the 87 rating, I think that's a little low. I think, you're looking 88, 89.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
He's a North Carolina guy. Then Noah Chambers, linebacker from Maryland.
The staff was incredibly excited to get him.
Yep.
Great athlete. And I think there was the whole Twitter beef between our coaching staff and Maryland's because of this kid.
Funny. Carter Stollard, freshman, 6'8", 315 from Christiansburg. Always good to get those at home guys. And in my opinion, offensive linemen, you just throw the rankings out the window. They don't mean anything. I mean, Christian Dareshaw was a Fork Union guy that was unrecruited out of high school. Lasita Smith. State. Yeah, Lasita Smith was a nobody, and now he's in the NFL. Joshua Nijman wasn't highly rated. Now he's been in the NFL for a long time. We're very good offensive linemen for Virginia Tech.
Half of Notre Dame's starting offensive line was 3 stars.
Yeah. I mean, we do. Virginia Tech has had the Wyatt Teller and the Luke Tenuta, who are highly recruited guys who did turn out to be pretty good too. But by and large, we've had plenty of them that are unranked and all across the board and end up being really good. Nathaniel Wright, another offensive lineman, 6'5", 275 from Woodbridge. Knowledge Harrell is a safety from Virginia Beach.
And I want to really quickly stop on Knowledge Harrell. Monster. This is a guy who typically, like, you'll look at him, like, we've had a true freshman safety start or play substantial snaps for each of the last 2 years. If we didn't have so many safeties coming in the portal that I like, I'd say that this guy was going to get substantial snaps next year.
Yep.
He is small, 160. He'll probably be up to 185 by the time he's playing, but incredible football player at Knowledge Harrell.
Yep. And from Green Run High School, which is one that that is a recruiting
I think three
hotbed.
commitments from there.
Yep.
I think it's I know Knowledge Harrell. I know Jaden Anderson is from there, and I think Zeke Shinwike is as well.
I got Zeke is Ocean Lakes.
Okay, so it's Virginia Beach. The same area.
Yep. So then after Knowledge, we got Keldon Ryan. He's the one, not AJ Brand. AJ Brand is one that Shane Beamer tried hard to flip right at the end and wasn't able to. Keldon Ryan started as a 4-star, and he got the old Virginia Tech drop down. But he's a Texas guy, and I am excited about any Texas guy because 150th in the state of Texas equals like 7th in the state of Virginia. So
I mean DeSoto football player.
Yeah. Then we got Zeke Chinwicki, which, if I remember right, he's one that the staff is pretty high on. A 6'5", 240 defensive lineman from Virginia Beach.
Yeah, raw athlete.
Yep. And then a late ad was Jordan Krim, a cornerback from South Carolina. And then we already hit. Did we already hit Brennan Johnson?
I don't believe so. We had a crystal ball for him for like 7 months, I think. From like early March till like October when he committed, we had a crystal ball on him.
Yeah. So we got Brennan Johnson, Highland Springs, and then Luke Stew from Ohio. Biggest thing that is noticeable to me is a lot of Virginia guys on that list.
A lot, yeah. We did a really, really good job closing the board with a lot of guys on Virginia. Or in Virginia.
Yep. Glad to see it. And yeah, wide receiver class, cornerbacks class, those skill positions on offense and defense are looking pretty good there. I'm pretty happy even at this point if it stopped now with our high school class and our transfer portal class. I do think we need a couple more additions, like another defensive lineman would be good. Maybe an offensive lineman.
I'd like an edge rusher and an offensive lineman, I think.
Yep.
And you feel good.
I think we're even close now to saying that the floor has to be like 9 wins next year.
Whoa.
For Brent Pry to feel good about his job, yeah.
For Brent Pry, you think? Okay, so you think 9 wins is what Brent Pry needs next year to keep his job?
I mean, no, 7 or 8, he's keeping his job. I think 6.
I think if he can get 8, including a bowl win, he keeps his job. I think 7 is people are calling for his neck at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, for me to be happy with the program, yeah, I'm looking for 9 wins next year. Especially, I don't think the schedule is too crazy hard of a schedule.
Are you saying that in general or based on the roster?
Based on the roster.
Wow.
Like I'm with the receivers coming in. Well, with the receivers coming back, I'm pretty happy with them. Kyron Jones, when healthy, and if he's got a little bit of time, can be a very good quarterback. Offensive line, I expect that play to be significantly better with Matt Moore over Ron Crook.
Oh, 100%.
And then I'm just hopeful with the defensive coordinator in general.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, saying that before we know who our strength and conditioning coach and our defensive coordinator is a very bold take.
I am hopeful for the defensive coordinator. If it's an Anthony Poindexter or somebody like that, I am expecting us to spend $1.5 to $2 million and to get a damn good defensive coordinator. Is where that's coming from. Now, if we hire $2
million, you can make the conversation about Tim Banks.
There's been already some chatter that there's been 2 raises, like to the defensive coordinator salary asked for. So I think they're expecting to spend some money on a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I've heard a solid amount. we've got a good budget
Yeah,
for
and I mean,
for D
you would think
coordinator.
it's a defensive coordinator with some of the defensive recruits we're bringing in, because in my mind, they already know who the defensive coordinator is,
100% they do.
and they're telling these guys this is who it is. These guys are probably already in contact with him. Anthony Poindexter, who's coaching in the college football playoff. That's the only reason it hasn't been announced publicly.
It'll be announced tomorrow morning. Go
Yeah,
Irish.
probably. Yeah. So if we get Anthony Poindexter, then yeah, I'm thinking 9 wins next year.
I like it. I like the confidence. I can't quite say that. I think I need a little bit more than what we have, but I really like the confidence.
So I mean,
that.
South Carolina, Vanderbilt got to go 1-1, at least. Hopefully
Let me pull up the
2-0.
schedule
But
too.
Old Dominion, Wofford, that's 2 more wins, so 3-1 at worst.
You can say South Carolina does typically have trouble starting their seasons.
So yeah, it could be 2-0
regularly. So
3-1.
3-1 at the end of non-con.
And I'm saying that not that will happen. I'm saying that's what needs to happen. 2-2 is unacceptable.
Yeah, you look at
Miami,
the road games.
Miami at home. Miami at home. That's should be better than a toss-up. I don't think Miami's going to be as good next year as they were this year.
We should not lose more than one home game, and it should be either Miami or Louisville.
Yep, and
so that's
Louisville,
an automatic 6 wins.
And then we go at UVA. That's a win. At Florida State,
that's going to be a win.
That should be a win. So now we're at 8,
that
and
might,
then at Georgia Tech.
That might be a playoff team after what does happen.
Yeah, no
What
kidding.
would be funny? What would be funnier next? Really quick, what would be funnier if they went 0-12 next year, or if they went to the playoff next year?
Yeah, I don't know. Either one. It's hard to tell with them.
But then, you have UVA, FSU, Georgia Tech, NC State. You can go 2-2 or 3-1 there. It's not impossible. I can't quite say that given what just happened over the last couple of months, but I do like the confidence that 9 wins can happen.
This year should have been 10 wins.
This is a 10-win team, yeah.
Like if it's not for stupid coaching decisions, this is a 9-win team without a doubt. Like Vanderbilt, that was the double zeros, right?
Yes.
That was a horrible mistake that cost them the game. It went to overtime, and that cost them a field goal. That cost them 3 points. Was it Syracuse? They did no. Syracuse. They were just up like fucking 30 points in the third quarter, and you can't lose that game. And that's already up to 8 wins if you don't lose those. And then I know there was Miami. They called a timeout with like
we actually went 7-6 this year.
Yeah, well, Miami. Because we actually did beat Miami, but not even the Hail Mary.
Literally, yeah.
Not even the Hail Mary. Like before they went to overtime. No, before they went to halftime, there was like they called timeout with like 45 seconds left to try and kick a field goal. We're like, why didn't you just let that run down to 10 seconds or whatever it was? I don't remember exactly what it was.
It was like 20, and then they got a big return because we fucking.
Oh, they tried to. Yeah, exactly. So with Kyle
Lowe, who regularly kicks out of the back of the end zone, my friend got hit in the face when he was on the sideline of a game this past year.
Yeah, so double zeros at Vanderbilt, Miami that screw up, and Syracuse being up by 10 with like 5 minutes left. That's 9-3 right there. Just with last year's schedule was probably a little bit easier. Getting South Carolina and Vanderbilt. I think Pavia's coming back to Vanderbilt. So that one's going to be tough, but it's at home.
It's at home. There is no excuse that we should lose that game. If we lose that game, I don't want Brent Pry to be able to go back to his house.
Yeah, I agreed. And then, Miami, Cal, Louisville, Wake at home. Wake's going to be horrible. Cal's just not a good football program. They're not. You can't lose to Cal or Wake at home. So then you got to split with Louisville and Miami, and I think it's more likely that they win both against those two than lose both against those two. And
Yeah.
then
Oh, did you see the Carson Beck news?
that he's in the portal.
He's in the portal. The favorite's going to be Miami because of who
Oh
he's
yeah,
dating.
which great, fine. I don't think Carson Beck's
Yeah,
that good.
fantastic. No, he's not.
Yeah, no,
And I
he's
mean, Louisville just had a bunch of checks bounce over the last year. Like, how's their portal going? I know they just lost Monroe Mills. He entered the portal with a do not contact, and he's visiting UVA today, which sucks.
yeah.
We were in on him last year.
So yeah, I mean, and Georgia Tech, they're on the come up, but they're not that good. NC State,
They
they're
lose Haynes King and Jamal Haynes and Eric Singleton. Like, they lose their three best football players. They lose
and
Haynes
in
King, right?
and NC State, they were supposed to be ACC championship caliber this year, and they finished what 6-6, 7-5.
Yeah, they're not good. The six or yeah, they just lost to
ECU.
ECU. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
great game. I
Yeah, they were 6-7, same as Tech.
Okay, no, Haynes King is returning, but they do not have Jamal Haynes, if I'm not mistaken. And I know they do not have Eric Singleton.
So that is Virginia Tech has 16th ranked transfer portal. South Carolina has 21. Florida State's 26, which is a little disappointing for them. Vanderbilt's 20.
But really quick, we are out recruiting. There are a bunch of SEC and Big Ten schools that we're doing better in the portal than FSU wants to be an SEC school.
Oh, we're doing better. Well, obviously doing better than Clemson, but surprisingly, they're 35th, which I guess
They started doing a little bit.
0-3's in and out. I think is that it factors into their ranking. So they've had 5 in and 3 come in, so that gets them 35th. Cal and Virginia are 39 and 40. I know the UVA fans are beating their chests about having a great transfer portal class, but
It's not.
They're not that good. Louisville's at 48, which is horribly disappointing for them. They have 18 guys coming in, and their average portal ranking is 66.
Jeez.
That's bad.
Yeah, jeez.
Their outs are 21, and that's 67. And when you see that 67 number, you think, oh, that's just a bunch of walk-ons. Well, they're coming in as 66.
Yeah.
Who else? Wake is they have 17 commits, and their average is 64.
I mean,
Georgia Tech has 14 coming in at 67.
Real quick, Jackson Sigler's rated as a 3-star in the portal by on 3.
Who's he? I don't know him.
The walk-on quarterback that entered the portal.
Oh, yeah. What's his rating? What number?
82.
So
it's
yeah,
low,
he's way better than what
star.
freaking Louisville's getting.
Yeah. And I don't know that he's seen snaps here. I think Ben Locklear kneeled it out against UVA, right?
That sounds right, yeah.
So I don't think it was Sigler. I don't think Sigler's even seen snaps. I don't think he was rated out of high school. And he's better than what Louisville's getting. Jeez.
Okay, I don't know why they're 64, because they got 88, 86, 88, 84, then they got somebody that's not ranked, then 86, 91, 87, 87, 88, 89, 87, 91, 86, 88, 87, 86, 87. So they're not average of 64. But
maybe it's average of 64th ranked? No, because that would be a much higher than being in the 40s. I don't
Well,
it
says our average. It says average P. I don't know what that means. But ours is 75. Theirs is 65 or whatever it was. So, ours isn't 75 either.
Really quick, hold on. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up his player profile. Colby Crawford just tweeted. There is a 2026 cornerback / wide receiver. Jazeal Hart is down to 6 schools. He tells 247. From Roanoke, he is down to Michigan, Penn State, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia Tech, and UVA. That's some pretty damn good company in UVA.
Yep.
Yeah, if we're in the top six, the same guy is that Michigan, Penn State, Indiana, and Tennessee won. I want him.
For sure.
That just got tweeted by Colby Crawford.
Yep.
But all right, we've covered football. Do we need to move on to women's basketball or men's and women's basketball quick?
Sure, go ahead. What you got on women's basketball? I haven't watched much of that yet.
Um, I saw the. Oh, I haven't watched a ton of it. I do know that Samaya Suffren is out for the season. She got hurt and she is going through surgery. We do play Georgia Tech tonight, which is a Q1 opportunity. This team's not terrible. It's a 10-4 team. You in the ACC, which is the best to second best women's basketball conference, depending on where the SEC is at year to year. 21, 22 wins is where you want to be. And we are on pace for that. We are, I believe we're 500. No, we're 1-2 in the ACC. We have every opportunity to do what we need to do to get to the tournament. I do think that we'll end up being in the NIT, the women's NIT. Team's not that good, but it's a young team that definitely has promise. We played Georgia Tech tonight at 6, and that's a ranked team. They're 15-0. Maybe we can open some eyes.
Yep, and then I believe the men's team is probably just fighting to make the ACC tournament.
Yeah, quite
That's
literally.
Going to be a good year for them.
Yeah. How many? Is it 15 or is it 16 that makes it? It's 15, right?
I don't know.
That make it this year. It was 15 before we added, or no, it was 14. It was 14 before we added SMU, Cal, and Sanford. Is it still 14?
It might.
If it's still 14, then we're not going to make it. That means we have to be not in the bottom 3, which UVA. Well, we'll have a chance. We're not going to win more than 4 games in the ACC. If we win 4 games, I'd be pretty surprised.
It does say 15.
It's 15? Okay, so we have to not be in the bottom 2. That is doable. Still.
So where are we right now? We're 1-3.
We're 16. Or 16? Yeah, 16. We're second to last. To only Miami, who we beat. On a game-winning and one.
No. We're 13th. There's
tiebreakers.
5 or 6. Well, there's
16th.
there's 5 or 6 teams tied at 1-3.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tiebreakers though technically have us at 16th right now, but there's 10, 15 more games to be played.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a good year for this basketball team. Is just making the ACC tournament, which is a shame with what we came from not very long ago.
God, this team is so bad.
Which really hurt. I was excited to watch the game against Stanford last night, and a lot of they had beaten Miami, who's not good, and then I do think Ben Hammond is a decent basketball player.
Ben Hammond's a great basketball player. I'm very excited about him. We have a good young core. The pieces are there. Mike Young's a great coach. The fact that we have lost some of these games by as little as we've lost them by just shows that we are probably 30 points worse than Michigan, and we lost them by 12. And we're probably 30 points worse than South Carolina. We lost them by 10. Mike Young's a great coach. The pieces are there. We have a future, but man, this team is bad this year.
Yeah, and that's if Mike Young decides he wants to stay in the crap.
Good Lord, if he doesn't, we're going to be worse next year.
Yeah. Well, they're just going to have to open up the checkbook and hire a good coach.
Which are they going to do?
Whit Babcock is capable hiring, Buzz Williams and then getting Mike Young. He got 2 good coaches.
And Mike Young is objectively a good coach. A matter of succeeding and being a good coach are 2 different things.
Well, I think if this was 15 years ago, he's just succeeding at Virginia Tech with the transfer portal rules being what they were. Yeah, he's probably doing okay. He's not as bad as they are now. But in this new landscape with Virginia Tech diverting a lot of NIL to football and away from basketball, who knows? It's kind of that never made sense to me that they did that because there is this is $100 million plan to renovate Castle Coliseum. So why are we tanking the basketball program right before that
I do
happens?
believe that's been scrapped.
Oh, you think so?
That was like 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
I
I'd be
always
pretty
assumed it was a
surprised if
10-year
that hasn't been
plan.
scrapped. Oh, it wasn't?
I assumed it was a long term. Yeah, it wasn't like
You'd
this is happening
probably know
next
more
year.
about it than I do, so. But yeah, to my knowledge, I thought it was scrapped. I wouldn't be surprised if it has been.
Yeah, but well, yeah. I mean, they're taking the basketball program now. I do think that plan involved reducing the number of seating. So maybe
I think it
they're
was
thinking
reducing the number of assigned seating and bringing more open standing room seating.
and boxes. I think they were working
Yes,
on bringing
and
in some
boxes, yeah.
boxes.
So
But who
overall
knows?
capacity probably goes up, but seating probably goes down.
It was the Reach for Excellence campaign where they were shooting to raise $400 million, which is still a thing. It's still a website.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, as far as I can see from the website, it's still a thing.
Huh.
$75 million project.
Yeah, I see that.
Reach for Excellence. Yeah, here it is. So yeah, they'll actually have some boxes in the middle, maybe some seating up top. Which they did just put out. I do remember last year, or within the last few months, they put out a bid request for new video boards. I don't know what that's about, if that's part of this, or if they're just replacing what they have with the same thing. I don't know that, but that request did go out. That request for bids. So who knows? But it's still a thing. It's still on the website as a long-term thing. So. Yeah, kind of funny to me that they decide to tank the basketball program. Now, I am hopeful with the new state ruling that they can start using university funds for NIL things that will that'll kind of raise the floor for basketball. They did. I think it was Chris Coleman who said, Virginia Tech, if they have $7 million for NIL and Clemson has $17 million, or whoever, Alabama has $17 million, $7 million to $17 million is a significant difference. Now, if the colleges can start giving $20 million, then all of a sudden, $37 million to $27 million isn't such a huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, people have been mad at over Twitter. You can Moneyball and win.
Yep.
There's a whole movie about this. I saw Prime mention moneyballing in the portal. It's a lot of people on Twitter are mad. There's a movie about winning, moneyballing your roster. It is possible.
Well, they're doing it. They're doing it. They're getting a guy from New Mexico with a 75 or 80% defensive grade, which is way beyond what any of our safeties were. They're paying that guy $50,000 or $100,000 probably. Where they could have used 35% of our NIL budget on a transfer from Alabama with the same or even less PFF grades. But no, they're doing it.
Or
they're
to keep Mose Phillips, who got $600,000 from Missouri.
Who these guys were bringing in are blowing his PFF numbers out of the water.
Yeah, I think that these guys are. I love Mose Phillips. I was very happy when we got him. I think he's a great athlete. I don't think that he's a good. I don't think he has I don't think he has the mental ability to be a good safety. He just good athlete. Sucks that that he wasn't great for us, because I was a big fan of him. I don't know if you've watched his high school films, but the first clip is him just completely cleaning out a receiver on a tunnel screen on what is one of the dirtiest hits I've seen in my entire life. And you can see 6 flags coming at the end of the clip. It's every single ref throws a flag right at him.
Yep. So Isaiah Cash, Tyson Flowers. I'm just gonna do overall defense. These are all guys we've brought in. Isaiah Cash, Tyson Flowers, Christian Ellis are all 77, 76, 70, respectively, on overall defense PFF grades. Jalen Stroman had a 71 and 23. He was hurt all last year. And And then Quentin Reddish and Jalen Jones, who I believe are both coming back, they're 66 and 65. And then Mose is down there at 57 for
Jay
overall.
Jones is out of eligibility, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
Yeah, very
Yep.
unfortunately. He's a guy that will get a chance in the NFL just because he's been playing safety for 2 years. He was really, really good down the stretch for us at safety. I think he had 3 picks this year too. I think he had like 3 picks against, I want to say against UVA, Clemson, and Georgia Tech. Like in the last 3 home games or last 4 home games, he had 3 picks. He was very, very good down the stretch for us, and I think the raw talent will get him a chance in the NFL. I am upset that we have to lose him, unfortunately.
Yep. So here's linebacker grades. Joe Cam, incoming guy, had an 83 overall defensive grade, 84 run defense, 76 tackling, and 91 pass rush. Sam Brumfield had a 66 overall grade. Caleb Woodson had a 66 overall grade. He had 75 in run defense and tackling. His issue was pass rush at 58. And then Jaden Keller, who is he back?
Keller is back. Yeah, he's going to be probably the backup Mike, from what I've heard. I've heard Woodson might be Mike next year.
He was Jaden Keller's pretty even across the board. 62 overall defense, 64 run defense, 70 tackling, and 67 in pass rush. And then Kelly Lawson, who's in the portal, had 61 overall defense. So yeah, I mean they're playing money ball. They're bringing in guys. There were some other graphics that David Cunningham had tweeted that showed more than that. I think it was with the safeties. How
he did that with the safeties.
How amazingly upgraded that is, but I'm not seeing it right now.
Yeah, it's down a little ways.
Yeah, he tweets a lot. Yep. So yeah, we're excited about that. I guess we were on basketball. I don't know how we got back to transfer portal, but
I don't either. I'm just we were talking about NIL and moneyballing.
Oh yeah. Yep. So basketball needs to do the same thing.
Job at moneyballing and basketball is obviously going to be more difficult.
Which I think I've noted this before. I'm a little disappointed in Mike Young, and I don't know why. I don't know the why. I don't have an idea for the why. But when he was hired, he had nobody on roster, 1 or 2 guys, and I have brought up this on the podcast, and had 3 or 4 months, 5 maybe 6 months to field a team, and they ended up going 500. That team's beating the crap out of this team. Well, this year he had a full off season to build this roster, and they're terrible.
Well, granted, I think we're a lot better if we have the guy who we lost.
That's right. That is right. Heiser Miller,
yes. And also, this team doesn't have, the super talented guy. No matter how much you like him, Landis Nolly was a really, really good pure scorer and had talent, and this team does not have that kind of guy.
Well, and then Storm and Keve were good basketball players.
Yeah, well, they weren't on that first team.
Were they not?
No. Keve was, but he never played because he was
That's right. Storm came after a year or 2.
Yes. Storm came in year 3. Keve started. It was there for year 2 and year 3.
So who was that? Landers Nolly, Wabissa Beatty. Who were the other ones on that?
God, Wabissa Beatty. Landers Nolly, Wabissa Beatty, PJ Horn.
Oh gosh, yeah.
John Ojuwaku was the starting center of that team.
Oh yeah, averaged 2 points a game or something.
Yeah, he ended up being all Sun Belt last year, I believe. There's a couple others that I can't think of. Okay, PJ Horn, Isaiah Wilkins, 21. Or no, it was 2019 to 2020. I don't know why I said 21.
That's when they beat Michigan State and had no business beating Michigan State.
Yeah. Absolutely no business beating Michigan State.
So, wait, wrong button.
Tyrese Bradford, Naheem Aline, Jalen Cone, Hunter Couture.
Hunter was one that came over. year one.
Yeah, he wasn't a transfer. He flipped.
So yeah, those starters were Beatty, Tyrese Radford, Naheem Aline, Landers Nolly, and PJ Horn. Bench was Ojiaku, Hunter Couture, Jalen Cone, and Isaiah Wilkins.
Yeah, Ojiako last year averaged 13 and 11 as a starting center at Coastal.
Yep.
That
So
was his
that team
year.
is beating the crap out of this team, which is a shame.
Badly.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I am disappointed in what this team has been, but
I've got a funny story.
Let's hear it.
It was wasn't that year. There was a year where we hosted Clemson and lost on a last-second shot. I thought it was by Landers Nolly.
You mean one on a last-second shot?
No, I thought we lost on the last second. What?
I know we hosted Clemson and Seth Allen hit a game-winning shot.
No, there was.
I want to say that was 2017, 2018.
Maybe it wasn't Clemson that I'm thinking of, but or maybe it was the Clemson. I'm getting my games mixed up. No, there was a game that I went to in college, and this was in the era when throwing paper airplanes was a big deal. Everybody was doing it. So I threw one from the top row at Castle, and 5-10 minutes go by, and all of a sudden everybody in my row's like pointing at me like, dude, look over. And I'm looking, and there's this cop, and he is just pissed off looking at me. And I was like, what? And he was like, come on. And I was like, what? He said, I saw you throw it. Don't even try to deny it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you threw a paper airplane. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like, sure, what do I need to do? And he followed me down, and he was just pissed. So he led me down to talk to two other ones, and they started questioning me. They were like, did you throw a paper airplane? And I was like, yeah, I did. I didn't know that it was illegal. And they were like, yeah, like, technically Tech could get, like, a technical foul for something getting thrown on the court. And I was like, oh, my bad. And they were like, all right, well, like, have you been drinking? And I was like, no, like, I've never drank anything in my life. And I guess the guy heard that, and he walked up all pissed off. He was like, don't you try to deny it. I saw you do it. And I was like, no, I'm not denying anything. Like, I was like, I did it. I threw it. Like, I'm not trying to deny anything at all. So then he walked away again, and they had my ID. And it was like 5 minutes left in the game, and the two cops that I was talking to, they were like, what should we do? Like, should we throw him out? And the one guy was like, hand me my ID back. He was like, go enjoy the game. Because I was just like, yeah, I did it. I'm not drunk. Like, I don't know. Everybody else was doing it, and I didn't know it wasn't a thing. So yeah, they gave me my ID back and let me go back into the game.
that
was pretty funny.
Yeah, that is funny. That's that became a big problem at my school for 2 years ago. For like 3 weeks, every basketball game, like, there were like game stoppers like every 2 minutes for a paper airplane falling on the court. Yep. It was ridiculous.
At football, it was a big thing, and that made a little bit more sense. They gave us programs then, which I don't think they do anymore, and that might be why. And like one a game would make it to the field. But yeah, basketball, I get it. I get it a little bit more how it's not allowed, and then I never did it again after that.
Yeah,
I was like, I didn't know this was actually like against the rules.
Yeah, I didn't either until
20-year-old in college. Yeah, yeah. Apparently they'll throw you out for it.
Yeah, but yeah, you might be thinking of the Seth Allen game winner was 2016, 2017. Would that line up?
No. It was a game loser.
Oh, game loser.
He took a shot that he shouldn't have late. It might have been that, but they lost 70-58. I don't know, but no, it was one that Landers Nolly should not have taken. So it was one that year, late in the game, and yeah, I guess it could have been. Let me see. What about that Clemson game? Was it close late? Oh, I'm on Clemson, not the game again. Nope, wasn't close late. We won that one 70-58. I thought we had lost it. So it's one we lost. Virginia was not. Yeah, I don't remember which one it is. But yeah, I know there was one that he took a shot late that he shouldn't have, and we ended up losing the game.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Boston College?
It might have been.
I
But
think
that one went to overtime.
No,
Maybe I'm thinking of it in overtime.
It did.
I don't know.
Maybe threw a paper airplane at the very end of regulation.
No,
and got
I
yelled
do.
at the end of overtime.
I do think it was the Clemson game that I threw the paper airplane.
Okay. And we went 2-0 against them that year, so.
Yep.
Jeez, we lost 65-39 to them to UVA that year.
Yeah, there was some bad ones.
Yeah, I see that. Good Lord.
Yep, that was
Jesus.
that Virginia. Yep. All right, well let's get out of here. Think you got anything else to add here, late?
I don't think so. I just want to say I am fully backing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this college football playoff.
So we can get our defensive coordinator hired.
Yes, well, that's actually not why. I really like how they have held on to tradition in a sport that has lost a lot of it. I've fallen in love with this Notre Dame team. So hopefully Notre Dame wins. Hopefully we can get our defensive coordinator hired in the next week, so we know who it is and we can start lying on the timeline.
Yeah, that's right. 9-10 wins next year. That's the floor.
Yep. That's absolute floor.
Yep. All right, sounds good. We'll see y'all later.